Morning, Raptor Freak Alexey Ots here. Monday morning after the All-Star weekend in Cleveland. It was a very underwhelming All-Star weekend to me personally. I found the events to just be kind of meh, and just kind of, especially the dunk contest. It was absolutely awful. And of course our Raptors, they represented. They didn't do anything super showy or big on the stage in All-Star this weekend, but they did okay and they had fun. And that's all that really matters. Fred getting an all-star in the first place is great. Precious and Scotty participating in the Rising Stars was great. Freddie in the three-point shootout, that was fantastic. And Scotty also in the skills challenge also. Great representation by our franchise this weekend. Just overall, the weekend was just kind of, like I said, especially that dunk contest. It was really, really disappointing is a good word for it. The dunk contest is just in trouble, and it really needs something like what happened on February the 12th, 2000 in Oakland, California. We're doing a great Raptor Freak memory, and I wanted to do the dunk contest with Vince today just because I have a thing against Vince because of him saying that he dogged it for us publicly. The reason why is obviously it'd be one thing if he just dogged it for us and didn't say it publicly to the press. That's something else. But the audacity of him actually telling the press that he dogged it, like it wouldn't matter, that's really the egregious thing here, is that he actually admitted it to the press and he was almost like he was proud of it. And that's something as a Raptor fan I can never forgive. But we're going to talk about a time today that happened before that. In that period of time, when Vince was on the Raptors, he was everything to us. He was our hero. He was our champion. He did something which nobody else had been able to do, is put the Toronto Raptors franchise on the map as a legitimate, respected franchise in the league. And I love him for that. I love him for the things that he's done. I don't appreciate him for what he did at the end, but let's talk about what he did in 2000. That night in Oakland was amazing for all kinds of different reasons. That night, personally, I was working at the Air Canada Center with Stevie Roots at the Mr. Sub stand. It was a Maple Leafs versus Vancouver Canucks game in our building. And the hockey team lost that night. Yeah, the Leafs lost to the Canucks 4-1 in that game, and it was a hockey crowd. And normally after those kind of games, this was an All-Star Saturday night. Vince was in Oakland for the All-Star Slam Dunk, and we get off work, Stevie and I, and we usually would go to Lord Stanley's Mug in the Air Canada Center and have a couple after work drinks. Like we literally go there and drink at that bar, and whoever was there, whether it was TV personalities, sometimes athletes, we met Eddie Shack there, we met Craig Sager there, all kinds of different personalities around sports would be there after the games. Well, the Leafs lost that night, so a lot of the fans left, obviously, left the building, but a lot of people were still at the bar. In fact, it was kind of amazing the amount of people that were still lingering in the arena after the Leaf game had ended so long ago. And we're at Lord Stanley's Mug watching the dunk contest. Yeah, that's where I watched the dunk contest. When Vince had the dunk contest, I was in the Air Canada Center at Lord Stanley's Mug with a beer with Stevie Roots, watching it with a bunch of disgruntled Leaf fans who had just watched their team get beat by the Canucks. And now they're all grouped up and they cheered for this dunk contest almost more than they cheered for the hockey game that night. It was incredible. The electricity that was in Oakland, where in the building where he was dunking, transferred through the television into the Air Canada Center with the group of, I would say it was about 50 to 100 people at Lord Stanley's Mug that night watching the dunk contest when what Vince did. And, I hear more and more interesting stuff about what led up to that dunk contest, that his car was late to pick him up and bring him to the dunk contest. There was all kinds of issues. And then the interview with Paul Jones talked recently about being the last person to talk to Vince before he went out there for the dunk contest. And he said that he looked like his shoulders were slumped. He didn't look confident. He looked like he was a little bit not on point. And boy, did he change like a switch when he got out there in front of everybody. I think it's so amazing that Vince Carter did this in Oakland, in Oracle Arena, an arena that would become so important for the Raptors years later, that we would win our first NBA championship on that court, that in some ways that Oracle Arena was such an important place to the Raptors franchise. I know it's very important to the Warriors franchise, sure. But some of the greatest moments in Raptor history happened in that building. And the two are that Raptors championship, obviously, Game 6 win, and then the Vince Carter dunk contest. Because what he did that night was unbelievable. The dunk contest has always had its trouble with keeping interest, because you have to innovate. You have to have the right mix of charisma, innovation, and execution. And what's happened is, we see it now more than ever, that there's just a level of all the dunks have been seen. There's nothing innovative. There's nothing interesting to it. And it's boring. And I'm going to tell y'all right now, in the years leading up to the 2000 dunk competition, the dunk competition was stale at that point, kind of like it's stale right now. And this was what kind of gives me hope about the dunk competition possibly becoming a great event again, is that we just need somebody like Vince to come and reignite that spark and that interest in that competition, that you need the right mix of athlete, innovator, daring, and able to do it. And that's why I think Ja Morant, them asking him last night, he probably should do the dunk contest, because he could possibly do this kind of level of elevating the dunk contest again, like Vince Carter did in 2000. Now, listen, this is the crazy thing about what Vince did. He didn't even practice some of the dunks that he did. Like, he did them for the first time in the competition. That's how crazy. And it's weird, because he knew after he did the first dunk and he made it, which is that windmill 360, he knew he had the crowd in his hands. And that really is a key to the dunk competition, is you want that electricity. You want a feeling, a buzz in the building where the fans are kind of like, they see something happen and they're like, what is he going to do next? What is going on here? This is incredible. This is insane. Oh my gosh, I am excited. I can't believe what I'm seeing right now. You just can't get that kind of feeling from these guys. Like this last dunk contest, there was none of that. It was such a flat energy. It's so crucial to the whole drama of it, to the thing about it. And that's part of what makes it so highly pressurized, is that you want that buildup of pressure from the crowd and its energy to get that release from a really amazing completed dunk. And the fact that this is the thing, Vince did something very smart. He did not fuck up many of his dunks. He was very good at executing them and getting them near the first time that he tried them. Like, there were a few times where he'd do aborted attempts, but for the most part, it was very clean. This was not no Birdman, I'm missing 25 dunks in the dunk competition. No, it wasn't like that. And also, his decision to only do the dunk contest 1 year and not come back to it again was very smart, because he was going to tarnish this great, perfect performance if he tried to come back and defend it. So I completely agree with that decision. Vince was just so much to us as a franchise. He was our hope. He was our most talented guy. He was our leading scorer. He was the face of our young franchise. And we were just trying to get some respect from around the league. And it was really hard to get respect, because we were a joke in a lot of ways. We were an exhibition team. We were the Purple Dinosaurs. We were just not legitimate in a lot of people's eyes in the league. And this night, February the 12th, 2000, was a night that gave legitimacy to the Raptors franchise on a huge level and on a deep, deep, thunderous, echoing way. Because not only did he make a spotlight on our team and give us something to respect, he had a reverberation throughout this whole country that now there are so many Canadian basketball players in the NBA right now solely from this particular night. That kids saw him dunk in Canada and they got more interest in the game, in the sport of basketball. And they went out and they played basketball. That singular event, that night, the night that I saw the Leafs lose to the Canucks 4-1. And then I went to Lord Stanley's mug and watched hockey fans watch the Vince Carter dunk contest enthralled, getting more excitement through the television that they got from the game they watched earlier. That was a time where there was a change in sports in Canada. That hockey, in some ways, lost some power the night that Vince Carter went out there and put his arm to his elbow in the hoop. So the repercussions, the reverberations, the echoing out of what Vince Carter did that night when Kenny Smith said, "It's over. It's over." And Kenny Smith has said people put that on their phones as their ringtone. Kenny Smith's voice saying it's over. And that statement will forever be iconic with Vince doing that motion and saying it's over because it was over. And, they did have good dunkers in that competition against him. Tracy was a great dunker in that competition. I thought it was messed up that they had Vince go against Tracy. Tracy, go the next year. Let's spread our Raptors out and not have them both in the same one. Because in some ways, that spotlight that got shown on Vince Carter that night really hurt our chances to keep Tracy McGrady with him. And that's the pure truth of it. That Vince started his outshining of everyone around in that moment, and he deserved it. And he was great. He carried this mantle. We finally got games on NBC. We're finally being seen nationwide in the U.S., getting broadcast because he was such a spectacle that he brought the attention. And I love him for that. I love him for his impact on the game in the country of Canada. I love him for him becoming the greatest dunker of all time. And some people will say there's a rivalry there. This is like LeBron versus Michael for greatest of all time player. Well, greatest of all time dunker is really between Michael, Vince, and maybe Dr. J. And Vince, to me, is the greatest dunker of all time. Vince Carter earned it that night, February 12th, 2000. He did something. He captivated a country. He captivated a sport. He did something that actually, as it ages and goes on, it looks better and better. And that's why this week on Wednesday, I'm going to start a new segment on this channel called the Retro Raptor Watch Along with the Raptor Freak. And we're going to retroactively watch the dunk competition with Vince Carter on Wednesday at 10 a.m. sharp. I have found it on YouTube for free. And we're all going to sync it up and start it right at the same time and watch it all together and comment and relive that glorious moment. I hate Vince today, but that day, February 12, 2000, he was our hero. He was our amazing, impressive Raptor that gave us legitimacy. And I can't fault him for that. I appreciate Vince Carter for what he's done in his legacy. I just can't stand the person for what he did when he said he dogged it and said it even to the public. If you'd even just dogged it and not admitted it publicly, I may like you more at this point. It's the fact that you had the audacity to admit it publicly that you didn't try and play for us like it was some sort of joke, like that we didn't deserve that. And that was disrespectful to our franchise, a franchise that you put on the shoulders and carried and built up. You destroyed some of that when you did that, Vince. And that's the thing. He will never, ever. This is the thing. This weekend, he should have been one of those 75 that had those blazers with the diamond on it. He should have been one of those guys this weekend, but he isn't. And you know why he isn't? Partly because he did admit that he dogged it. That will always tarnish his legacy. And then the other thing is, if he had gone on and on with the Raptors and maybe him and McGrady had worked together, who knows what would have happened. But in some ways, I actually believe that Vince should have been in the 75 this weekend because he was so important to the sport of the NBA. Globally, he did things for the sport in Canada and around the world that single-handedly, like on the level of Magic, Michael, Larry, those guys. Vince opened it up again in 2000, and he deserves that accolade. He deserves greatest dunker of all time. He deserved to be in that 75. Way over some guys like Russell Westbrook, James Harden, Anthony Davis. Vince Carter should have had one of those spots. And that's even with me hating him to this day. He truly is one of the 75 greatest players to ever play in the NBA. He has so many different things about his career that are great, other than like, championship and different things. But there are important things about Vince Carter. And it's just too bad that in some ways his legacy is tarnished by his own arrogance with admitting that he didn't try to play for us when he left. Because that's the thing. He didn't realize in that moment, he's not just letting us down as Raptor fans. He's letting down sports fans around the world when an athlete is publicly admitting that they didn't try their best. And that's it there. I love Vince from then. I was in Club 15. He got the t-shirt. I got the autographed picture. I was such a big Vince Carter fan. Just like all the younger kids that grew up on him and have become his hero over time, they always will remember Vince and how much of an impact he had. But unlike the kids, I was 20 at the time, and I was jaded and mad at him when this happened, and I had a hard time forgiving him. And I forgave him for a little bit when he retired. But then he went on broadcast and started slamming our team as a color analyst on NBA broadcasts. And I'm like, no, fuck him. And that's just the pure about it. But that day, February 12th, 2000, will always be an important moment and memory in Raptors history. And I cannot discount it. So I would like to invite you guys to relive it with me on Wednesday, 10 a.m. sharp. We'll give it some good time. We'll do the whole countdown, 1, 2, 3, and we'll start it all together. It runs about 53 minutes. And so we'll be done around 11 o'clock. So if you could parcel out that little bit of time between 10 a.m. and 11 a.m. on Wednesday morning with me, we'll do a retro Raptors watch along. All right, let me see what you guys are saying here. G said, Muggsy said Vince and McGrady could have been Jordan and Pippen. Yeah, Muggsy did the Yahoo Sports Canada podcast recently. I watched that interview. Muggsy's great. This is so good. I have these jerseys of these two guys up here, and they recently just did their interviews and stuff like that. And I agree with this, that at that time, McGrady was so early in his development, and we saw how much he blossomed with Orlando once he got to the Magic, that if we'd gotten that chance to see him blossom here with Vince, that would have been something. And a lot of the problem with that was people were in their ears. Vince was obviously carrying the mantle and was the man, like no matter what. But people were getting in Tracy's ears and saying you could be as same as Vince, but you can't do it in Toronto alongside him. And that was bullshit. And some of that is the same forces out there that told Masai Ujiri, you're supposed to pick Jalen Suggs. This is the same people that said to Tracy McGrady, you can't exist on a team with your cousin in Toronto. And they were wrong. And it was really that they wanted to stop our team from getting too good. Because at that point, with the team we had with Charles Oakley, Antonio Davis, McGrady, and Carter, we could have been a very good playoff team after that 2001 run against Allen Iverson. We could have continued that and done some real damage. But there were, like I said, there's subterfuge. There's people getting in people's ears, telling them some bullshit, and then they make a poor decision like Tracy did. And that's too bad because woulda, coulda, shoulda, we can't change it at this point. And that's just how it went down. But I agree with this. These guys could have been a real dynamic duo in the 2000s if they had stuck together. And I feel bad for both of them because I don't know. Did they win championships? I don't think they did. I don't remember. I block out what they did afterwards. I know Tracy didn't win a championship. I'm pretty sure. And Vince, I'm pretty sure also. Andrew saying, I grew up watching Vince and it really hurt when he left. However, in hindsight, our front office was trash back then and we didn't have the culture that we have now. Yeah, that is really a huge factor in this. And part of it was that the leadership was really unsure of itself. Rob Babcock was an absolute idiot. He really didn't know what he was doing. And he really left a power vacuum. at the top of the Raptors franchise because he wasn't a steady hand like Masai Ujiri. He wasn't a really good lead cook. And part of the problem was that Michelle Carter was becoming more and more of a problem as a person involved in the franchise. That she was very, very pushy. Her son was the important person on the team, and she was directing a lot of stuff. And Charles Oakley made light of this many times in the years since, that Michelle Carter was a huge part of the problem. So it wasn't even just that Rob Babcock was an idiot. It was that Vince's own mother was meddling and causing problems with the franchise because she wanted to be in the front office and be in charge of, she was doing Kawhi kind of shit. Let's just put it that way. So Andrew's also saying it's kind of crazy to think how good Vince was, even with a mediocre supporting cast. This is the thing. I won't say that Vince didn't have a mediocre supporting cast in Toronto when he hit the ground as a rookie. He had great players around him. We went and got Kevin Willis. We went and got good veterans around him. So he had really good people to learn from. You know, Charles Oakley, Muggsy Bogues, Del Curry. There were a lot of really good seasoned vets on the Raptors at that time. And we were a legitimate playoff team. Now, when some of those guys started to leave, like McGrady and different people, and like around 2003, things did start to kind of disintegrate on that team. The team went downhill, and that really did factor into his like thinking. He was hearing a lot of bullshit about Canada and how Canada, you could never be as big as he wanted to. I don't think he liked the nickname Air Canada because he's very strongly American. Like, I think you could see it even at that time when he would play for the U.S. Olympic team. That seemed like that was his more comfortable skin than a purple Toronto Raptors jersey. And, you know, it's stuff like that. He didn't fully embrace being a Raptor in some ways. And that's part of the problem. G saying, he said he wanted to come back one way or another near retirement. I wonder if front office said no and he got mad. I don't think he did say. If he said that, he may have said that early on. But at a certain point, you know, what are we going to do? And I don't even think it's that we wouldn't have welcomed back or had him because he's an important part of our history. And Masai will respect that. I think it's just that, like, honestly, he got passed around between so many different NBA teams over his 20 years in the league that it just got muddled. It's like, who is he connected to? Who is the important franchise to him? Because if you ask him personally, I don't think he would say Toronto. I think he would maybe say New Jersey or Orlando. And that's sad to me. That is sad to me because he went all over. He was in Dallas, Atlanta, Sacramento, Memphis. He played for so many different teams. And if he is to ever go to the Hall of Fame in Springfield, who is he going to go in as? They asked LeBron this question this weekend. And you know LeBron will probably go in as a Cleveland Cavalier. He should go in as a Cleveland Cavalier. I don't care about his Miami Heat stuff. He won't go in as a Laker, obviously, because he's on the outs with the Lakers right now. He's not going to be with the Lakers for much longer. But I think LeBron will go in as a Cav. But who would Vince go in as? If he gets into Springfield, would he pick Toronto? I don't think he would. I think he might pick the Nets. And that says a lot about him. I'm saying right there. Andrew's saying back then the player was bigger than the franchise, but today the Raptors franchise has more clout than any individual player. I will agree with this. That is part of the evolution that's happened since 2000 is we've gone through a very heavy individual player league back to maybe more of a team league. And this is really what we had to do as a franchise to steel ourselves from our great superstar franchise players leaving all the time, like Carter did, Bosch did, McGrady, Davis. They all had to go, and we needed to change something with our culture and say this culture stays whether our good guys leave. And that was with Kyle and DeMar. They really are the true architects of building this really great, stable playoff every year franchise. Kyle and DeMar get the credit because of what they did. Marlon Toby, your live commentary last night was fire. I enjoyed it. Appreciate that, Marlon. I'm going to do watch-alongs as special events here and there. We won't do them like live watch-alongs. We'll do the retro watch-alongs because we can do that and sync up things so that I'm not lagging behind people and it doesn't seem kind of weird. But I really appreciate that feedback, Marlon. I enjoyed it to a degree. but it's a little weird. It's difficult for me to react, process what's going on the screen, especially if I'm behind y'all, and then like also comment and interact with you guys in your comments also. But it was a trial and error. The different nights were different. The events were kind of so that kind of led to it too. But I'm really excited about trying this Wednesday watch along thing, because this is a segment I'd like to do on Wednesdays regularly. And if you guys have any input about a time of the day that's easiest for you guys to maybe possibly do a watch along with me on Wednesdays, I'll adjust the time that I start my live stream to help get more people involved. Like, even if you guys want to do it in the evening, possibly this summer, we can do it in the evening, or we can do it around regular time that I come on, like around right now. But the one on Wednesday, I want to try it out at 10 a.m. We'll start it up right at around 10:05, 10:10. Let people come in and get the YouTube link set up so they can watch it also with us and stuff. And we'll just watch this great moment of Vince Carter electrifying the NBA, revitalizing the dunk competition, making it into something again that people were interested in and excited about. And in some ways, the All-Star dunk competition here in Toronto with Zach LaVine and Aaron Gordon did a little bit of that magic again. But that magic is so hard to recreate year in, year out at the dunk competition. You really need to have the right competitors, the right kind of electricity, the right ability to be ingenuity with the dunks and new stuff. And what we're going to need at this point, I think, because this dunk contest was really bad this past weekend, is we're going to need a really good athlete, a super crazy good athlete, to do things that we've never seen a human being do before. And that's really what Vince Carter did on February the 12th, 2000 in Oakland, in the Oracle Arena. That building in some ways was owned by the Raptors because Vince did that dunk contest, and we closed it down with a championship before they demolished it. So great memories of that building and Oakland. And how poetic was it that Vince, the leading vote getter for the All-Star game that weekend, did that, and also at the place where he was actually drafted by the Oakland, by the Golden State Warriors, and then traded on draft day for his teammate at UNC, Antoine Jameson, who we drafted technically. So there's a lot of interesting interconnectedness with the Vince Carter dunk competition in 2000. I hope y'all will join me on Wednesday morning, 10 a.m. All right, let's see. G said, I may have read this wrong. He would like to have his jersey retired in Toronto. Really? Vince would like his jersey to be retired here? Well, he's going to have to get in line, because there's a couple of guys that are going to get their jerseys retired before he will. Trust me. And these guys have to retire first themselves. Oh, yeah. All right. Listen, G, I'm glad you're here. Raptors Freak Trivia Champion. We're going to play trivia tomorrow, y'all. 9:30 Eastern sharp. Raptor Freak Trivia tomorrow morning. I'm going to get it prepared this afternoon. I don't even know what questions I'm going to ask. It may be a little different than the ones we've been doing. I may just do straight up questions, whoever answers first. But, G, come on in. We're playing for that JYD practice jersey still. 9:30 Eastern time, right at the dot. We're going to have Raptor Freak Trivia tomorrow morning. And then the watch along on Wednesday, Vince Carter's 2000 dunk competition. We'll all watch it together. If you can come and join me and relive it with me. Wash the stink out of this horrible dunk competition this weekend in Cleveland. Oh, yeah. All right, y'all. Well, thanks for watching me. I was just going to do a little Raptor Freak memory today, talking about Vince Carter and that dunk competition. I remember Stevie Roots and I were going crazy, and I really loved seeing the hockey fans get so wild about that dunk competition after the game. And it was very uncommon to see so many fans at Lord Stanley's Mug that late after the hockey game ended, because they hung out for like an hour after the game, and it was full. There were so many people still there. They kept the bar open, and I'm sure our buddies Harold and Phil, they got some good tips that night. Oh, yeah, because people were there a lot longer. All right, guys, thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. Please hit that red subscribe button. I'm on my drive to get 1,000 subscribers, and I'm getting there. I'm getting closer and closer every day. All right, let's Go Raptors Nation. This is to Vince, and this is my knockoff bobblehead of Vince. Mr. Big made it. It says Vince Carter at the bottom, but really, honestly, does that look like Vince? It looks more like Shaq to me. All right, I love you, Vince. I really feel bad that you admitted you dogged it, and now we kind of have to hate you also. But I realize your importance to the children of Canada and your impact to this country and how you did a real dagger to the sport of hockey in some ways in this country also. That you brought a new interest in the sport of basketball in Canada and made some of these pros that are here in the sport now are truly directly connected to this dunk contest on February the 12th. All right, y'all. Have a great Monday. Let's start this week right. Family Day. Everybody's off. I hope you'll join me 9:30 a.m. tomorrow for trivia and then the watch along on Wednesday at 10 a.m. All right. Thanks again. And I appreciate the watch alongs this weekend. Anybody who enjoyed watching things with me, that was a good experiment. We'll see when I pull that trick out of my hat again for in the future. Who knows? Maybe we'll do a watch along during the playoffs or something. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. All right. Have a great Monday, everybody. Let's go Raptors.